the latest on Super Mario Maker 2, and more coming up on today's episode of the latest in tech news. Hey Gadget here, you're just in time for the latest episode of the world's only 3-in-1 show on tech, gadgets, and gaming news. That's right, this is the latest in tech news. My name is Taylor Merrick, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button down below so that you can be notified. We do these on the daily, not Saturday and Sunday, and hold off on that like button until you get to a section of the show that you actually like. And speaking of what I like, I'm going to contrast that by what I don't like. Those of you wondering, I had to stop the Kickstarter campaign that I had going on. I know I announced it at the beginning of the month. I was excited about it. It's been a rough couple of weeks. Definitely a lot of stuff I've been learning going on behind the scenes that I hope to unpack soon. But I'm going to be restarting it, changing a couple things on it, and then seeing what we go with there. I have a lot of exciting plans planned for the Kickstarter. It's still going to be the same thing that I wanted to do, except I think I might have jumped the gun a bit on a couple of projects. And I know you're saying to me right now, you're like, Taylor, yeah, you jumped the gun on a couple things. Well, you could tell me. I mean, I already knew that for myself, but I just didn't know until I put it out there, and I got feedback from other individuals. So feel free at any time if you want to get in touch with the show. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, at TechNewsGadget. You can leave a comment on our YouTube videos, of which will always leave you a reply or highlight the comment if you have a pretty awesome comment, which usually you do unless you're going to say first, then in which case, just for the fun of it, I will highlight it. So our feature story for today is we'll be looking at Super Mario Maker 2. And in terms of tech news, we'll be looking at the Google Translatatron, learning more about that. We'll also be looking at how the WhatsApp hack attack was possible thanks to a vulnerability. We'll also be looking at, well, I had mentioned it in yesterday's show, what the zombie load attack means for all Intel CPUs since 2011. And for gadget news, we'll be looking at SanDisk's 1 terabyte micro SD card now available. And for gaming news, we'll be looking at Fortnite's latest patch regarding the drum gun, ballers, and other complaints going on with the game. And finally, we'll be taking a look at Pokemon Rumble Rush. It's, yes, another game by the Pokemon company. So, all that and more. But first, did you know that in 1942, the German V-2 rocket designed by Werner von Braun was the first to reach 100 kilometers or 62 miles from the Earth's surface, also known as the boundary of space. Braun later worked with NASA on the rocket that went to the moon. And also, did you know that in 1947, the first animals went into space? Fruit flies were used to study the effects of space travel on animals, as they're very similar to humans, at least so far as we're concerned. So we kind of figured if the animals would survive, I guess we would too. Well, the flies traveled with a supply of corn to eat on the flight. I don't think we really had any complaints. I'm just glad that any lawsuits didn't come out of that, because that would have really halted progress. We had a big old problem. I'm trying not to sneeze for those of you watching the video, and if you're listening going, what's going on? I'm trying not to sneeze into the microphone or general. So excuse me here for a minute. Moving right along to today in tech history. Today is May 15th, 2019, and on this day in 2001, Apple Computer announces plans to operate a chain of retail stores, opening 25 retail stores in the United States by the end of the year. Steve Jobs holds a commemorative press event at Apple's first store in the second level of Tyson's Corner Center Market to make the announcement. The store, along with a second location in Washington, D.C., will open on Saturday, May 19th. At the time, Apple's plan was generally derided by technology experts as doomed to failure. On this, their anniversary date, Apple's retail stores are now considered one of the catalysts to Apple's tremendous growth. See, the so-called experts, they're kind of dumb. I don't even think half of them have any idea what the heck they're doing, but be that as it may, also on this day in history, in 2011, Sony begins restoration of its PlayStation Network after a cyber attack. And I bet you guys have no idea, and if you do, you're probably like, oh yeah, I remember, that was really long ago. Oh, that was the day I could play my PlayStation. Well, Congratulations. This is your reminder. After a malicious cyber attack compromises Sony Computer Entertainment's data center in San Diego, the PlayStation Network is shut down on April 20th. The ensuing investigation revealed a number of security flaws, and in tandem with outside security firms, Sony implemented a number of upgrades to deter and mitigate future attacks to its network and its customers' personal information. The Americas, Oceania, Europe, and the Middle East were the first regions to regain access to the PlayStation Network, and among other measures, customers were required to reset their passwords upon initially signing in. As more and more personal information is posted online, whether for financial, social, or business transactions, the safekeeping and protection of this data has come to the forefront of internet consumer concerns. And it continues even on to this day. So in case you're wondering about what all this concern is about, well, rightfully placed, because, well, now you know why. What could happen. So, moving on to our feature story. Alright, first up, what the heck is this? Second up, I didn't want this, Kotaku. Stop telling me other stuff I don't want. Anyways, today's feature story is covering the latest on Super Mario Maker 2. Did you know it has a story mode? And much, much more? Well, we'll be getting into that, but if at any time you have any questions, be sure to let us know down in the comments section down below. And if you're listening via podcast, hop on over to our YouTube, youtube.com/TechNewsGadget. The sequel to Super Mario Maker will have a story mode, unlike its predecessor, Nintendo said today in a Nintendo Direct dedicated to the game. In said story mode, you'll get to rebuild Princess Peach's destroyed castle by playing through courses to earn coins for the reconstruction effort, plus lots more. Over the course of a 15-minute video for Super Mario Maker 2, which is out on June 28th for the Switch, Nintendo detailed a ton of new features that will be added to the Mario level builder, including clear conditions, such as win by collecting 50 coins, and cooperative building with a second player. Also, slopes, on-off switches, seesaws, angry suns, and even mechanics that have never been in a Mario game before, like swinging claws and a dry bone shell that lets you glide in lava and hide as a pile of bones, and a car, apparently. You can also add auto scroll to your levels, swap themes, insert moving water or lava, and much, much more. Also, Nintendo today announced the Super Mario 3D World mode, which is two-dimensional, but allows for features that the other game's levels won't support, like teleporting glass pipes and cat suits. There's also a night mode and a 4-player multiplayer that you can play both competitively and cooperatively. So, I actually have the rerun of the whole stream right here. We won't be watching that today, but they do have a link to the YouTube video. Apparently the whole video starts properly at 29:30. So if you're interested in watching all the full details about that and you want all the latest on what's happening with the latest game, well, there you go. The link will be in the show notes for this episode, which is, well, you can find it at TechNewsGadget.net. Alright, and I know you guys saw that translation thing. I don't have like this nice smooth transition thing going on. I'm controlling everything. I have this button presses this button presses that. I have to click this, press that. I don't have any person behind the camera manning that. I don't have a producer off to the side making sure the screenshots are working okay. I don't have anybody checking the audio levels. I do it all myself, so hopefully everything's still going good. Anyways, before I start jumping off that rabbit trail, so Google's Translatatron can translate speech into the speaker's voice. And you're like, that title really didn't make sense. I know the last part of that title, the headline of the story didn't make a lot of sense, but once you actually read the article, you'll understand. So, speaking another language may be getting easier. Google is showing off Translatatron, a first-of-its-kind translation model that can directly convert speech from one language into another while maintaining a speaker's voice and cadence. The tool forgoes the usual step of translating speech to text and then back into speech, which can often lead to errors along the way. Instead, the end-to-end technique directly translates a speaker's voice into another language and then shows it to that other individual. The company is hoping the development will open up future developments using the direct translation model. According to Google, Translatatron uses a sequence-to-sequence network model that takes voice input, processes it as a spectrogram, which is a visual representation of frequencies, and generates a new spectrogram in a target language. The result is a much faster translation with less likelihood of something getting lost along the way. Now, see, keep in mind, though, that it'll do its best but it won't be able to exactly translate it directly. It's always been a problem with Google Translate, even when it comes to Chinese, like especially when it comes to. It's really hard. Like, how do you translate Americanisms, like the way we say things, or our sarcasm? Like, you need that. Like, you need a hole in a head or a nail in your head, something like that. And if you say that into the Google Translate, it'll translate and tell it to them. In my case, I had gobs of fun doing this with Chinese when I lived in Taiwan for a year, and I would try to translate it, and they'd say, "Oh, what do you mean?" I said, "Hang on, wait, I'll translate it into your language so you can understand this." And then it came out literally as, "You need a hole in your head," and they said, "Why would you say that to me? I'm your friend." And I'm like, oh, okay. American sarcasm is lost on you. And I said, "What's that supposed to mean?" And that's how I lost a friend. You see, the little nuances of the language, it's still picking it up, but I can see the benefits of Translatatron being a lot more beneficial. So now it goes directly from the language that you're speaking, grabs the data, pulls it down, well, the voice language, and then translates it directly into their language instead of converting it to their language and then bouncing it back as speech. So, the result is a much faster translation with less likelihood of something getting lost along the way. The tool also works with an optional speaker encoder component, which works to maintain a speaker's voice. The translated speech is still synthesized and sounds a bit robotic, but can effectively maintain some elements of a speaker's voice. You can listen to samples of Translatatron's attempts to maintain a speaker's voice as it completes translations on Google's Research's GitHub page. Some are certainly better than others, but it's a start, and a start in the right direction. Google has been fine-tuning its translations in recent months. Last year, the company introduced accents in Google Translate that can add a variety of languages and region-based pronunciations, and added more languages to its real-time translation feature. Earlier this year, Google Assistant got an interpreter mode for smart displays and speakers that can speak between 26 languages. This is all pretty impressive. I mean, just think of it. Sometime in the near future, you'll be able to have an individual who speaks another language, who doesn't understand English, or whatever the language is that you're talking. Invite them into your home, host them for a meal, or a movie, or game night, or something, and then you can have your smart speaker right there, and then you can have it translate right there, or your smart hub text image screen thing. Pretty impressive. And I guess I don't need to learn another language. I guess that's the good thing of having Google Translate, right? Alright, moving on to some more tech news. Well, here's how attackers were able to spread spyware through WhatsApp with just a phone call. Now, I know what you're saying on WhatsApp. I'm not sure if I covered this before, but apparently WhatsApp was hacked. It was quite a serious hack, whereas the hacker would call your phone with one ring, hang up, and then it would be hacked. Essentially all your information on your phone, or well, at least according to WhatsApp, the WhatsApp information data there would then be kind of exposed. I know it was quite a interesting hack, and it went really quick, but there has been an update out for almost the past week that they have put out. So if you haven't already, update WhatsApp so you don't have that problem. Earlier this week, it was reported that a vulnerability in Facebook's popular WhatsApp messaging service made it possible for attackers to spread spyware to smartphones via phone calls made through the app. To do so, hackers exploited what's known as a buffer overflow vulnerability within WhatsApp, which the company said it quickly fixed, and was first reported by the Financial Times. A buffer overflow is exactly what it implies. It's an issue that can occur when an app is flooded with more data than it can store in its buffer or temporary storage space. A buffer overflow occurs when a programming error allows more data to be written to a given area of memory than can actually be stored there. According to the Vice President of Security Research at Trend Micro, the extra data flows into an adjacent storage, corrupting or overwriting the data previously held there, and can cause crashes, corruptions, or serve as an entry point for further intrusions. In the case of the WhatsApp attack, intruders exploited the buffer overflow bug through the app's phone call function to install spyware on smartphones without the phone owners knowing. The exploit would work even if the victim did not answer the call. To understand how this is possible, it helps to know how WhatsApp calling functionality works. Like many popular messaging apps, WhatsApp employs a widely used technology known as a Voice over Internet Protocol, VoIP, which allows users to make and receive phone calls over the internet instead of through a standard telephone line. Now, when you receive a phone call through WhatsApp, the app sets up the VoIP transaction and the encryption that goes along with it, and then it notifies the user of the incoming call and prepares to accept, decline, or ignore the call based on the user's input. Now, according to Ferguson, who is the vice president of security research at Trend Micro, it's my understanding that the buffer overflow exploit occurs during this phase, which is why the recipient does not need to answer the call to be successfully compromised. So they then go back into finding them as difficult and the successful exploitation even more complex, but attackers and researchers still regularly do so. So yeah, WhatsApp hasn't said how many of the app's 1.5 billion users have been affected, but it's encouraging all users to upgrade to the latest version of the app, and if you haven't already, do so. So here you go. It's kind of scary. Oddly enough, I don't really use WhatsApp for much, if anything. So if you use it, update it. This is your PSA announcement. So with that being said, let's move on. All right. So zombie load attacks. What's up with that? Well, if you have an Intel CPU, 2011 or newer, you might have been affected. There's a good chance your laptop is powered by an Intel CPU. If so, then you'll need to update your computer immediately after a class of vulnerabilities was discovered that allows attackers to steal data directly from your processor. The so-called zombie load bug and 3 related vulnerabilities were unearthed by some of the same researchers who brought the critical Spectre and Meltdown flaws into the spotlight, and it shares many similarities to those bugs. Zombie load and its kin affect every Intel processor made since 2011, which means all MacBooks and a large majority of Windows PCs, most Linux servers, and even many Chromebooks are in the crosshairs. The bugs can be used on virtual machines in the cloud, but AMD and ARM chips do not appear to be affected by these latest flaws, to which I say, suck it, Intel, because I have an AMD chip. See, I told you. It's almost like I've known this for like the past decade to just go with AMD. It seriously is better. Anyways, Intel, which calls this set of flaws microarchitectural data sampling, or MDS, says select 8th gen and 9th gen CPUs are already protected against the flaw, and that all future CPUs will include hardware mitigation. The researchers who discovered the flaws disagree with Intel and insist those chips are still affected on this point, so there's still back and forth going on. So how the attack works is, well, like Spectre and Meltdown and several other flaws discovered since, these 4 new distinct attacks called Zombie Load, Fallout, RIDL, Riddle, and Store-to-Leak Forwarding exploit weaknesses in a widely used feature called speculative execution, which is used to help a processor predict what an app or a program will need next in order to improve performance. Now, this processor speculates or tries to guess, which requires requests for operations it will receive in the near future. For example, the next few milliseconds. Processor carries it out or executes those operations before they are requested in order to save time when requests are actually made. The problem is that by carrying out operations before they're actually needed, the CPUs put the results of those operations data in their own short-term memory caches in various ways. Spectre, Meltdown, and these 4 latest flaws all permit attackers to read that data directly from the processor memory caches. It's almost, get this is almost borderline to when Steve Jobs came out and said, Macs are unhackable, and then he adjusted his glasses, and people were like, yeah, Macs are unhackable, yeah, and I'm here in the PC crowd going, I'm just waiting for the day for it to happen, and you know what? I was proved right. It was almost like betting on the first horse, and then going, wait a second, I'm going to bet on the second horse because it's going to win, and the first one's going to be DQ'd. In a horse race, I'm talking about this year's horse race, because I was like, watch, you're going to find something. Sure enough, they did, and sure enough, I won. No, I didn't. I'm just bringing it up as an example. Guess where they found it? In the keyboard. Turns out the keyboard, the peripheral, had a small memory cache in it that could use to store information on it, and the virus scanners and everything that came along with the Mac was all connected to the computer. They didn't think to scan the peripherals. So you could essentially install a keylogging program right on the keyboard without them even knowing it, and it would go undetected. I loved it. So they do have a technical breakdown of the 4 new attacks here as well, or you can find it at cpu.fail. An alarming proof of concept video shows how the zombie load exploit can be executed to see which website a person is viewing in real time. The vulnerabilities also open the door for attackers to nab passwords, sensitive documents, and encryption keys directly from a CPU. It's kind of like if we treat the CPU as a network of components, we basically are eavesdropping on the traffic between them. So yeah, update right now. There is good news. Intel, Apple, Google, and Microsoft has already issued patches to fix the flaws. So have many makers of Linux distributions, but you're not out of danger until you've updated all of your Intel-based devices and their operating systems, which we strongly recommend doing right away. And they do have links for updates on your Mac or updates for your Windows PC. Intel admitted that security patches will impact CPU performance by up to 3%, and the whole collective world went, but in the case of keeping our information safe, well, on consumer device, well, I think you'll live. Apparently, it goes up to 9% on data center machines, and Google is disabling hyper-threading on Chrome OS 74 to mitigate the security risks. But don't let that dissuade you from manually forcing the update. So, bottom line, unfortunately, researchers believe that vulnerabilities related to speculative execution will continue to surface far into the future. We can only cross our fingers that these flaws are quickly patched, but once they are, it's up to you to make sure your devices have been updated to the latest, most secure versions. You can't just go and sue Apple and Intel and say, oh, my stuff is broken, my identity was stolen. Well, your responsibility. You're an adult. Act like it. See? There you go. I solved it. Problem solved. Moving on to some gadget news. SanDisk's 1 terabyte micro SD card is now available, and collectively the world rejoiced because we always wanted a micro SD card, especially for those interested in using it for more photography-based uses. Their card is now out. Biggest capacity they've ever sold it at, and you can buy one for, get this, $450 US. As for where you can buy it right now, it's available on SanDisk's store, B&H Photo, and Amazon has a product listing, though it's currently unavailable in the US. You can purchase it through Amazon if you live in Spain, Germany, or the UK. Per Tom's Guide, though, depending on where you live, deliveries have been delayed up to 3 months at the time of writing. So SanDisk's extreme lineup of micro SD cards advertise 160 megabytes per second read and 90 megabytes per second write speed, and its new high capacity card follows suit. As such, it's the better choice over their ultra micro SD card if you capture a lot of 4K video. File transfers and load times should be a little quicker too. If you're interested in getting one of those 1 terabyte micro SD cards, you should make sure your device is compatible. Nintendo's FAQ doesn't put a cap on card sizes accepted by the Switch, though Amazon's Fire tablets top off at 256 gigabytes of micro SD storage. So, owning this card might seem a little bit cool, but that distinction isn't as important to you as saving money is. There are a couple options you could go for as well. The 512 megabyte or gigabyte micro SD costs only $900. $900? What's that? I'm kidding. I want to make sure you're still reading it. I want to make sure I was reading too. Their Samsung 512 gigabyte micro SD card costs $100 at Amazon. Alternatively, SanDisk's Ultra 400 gigabyte micro SD card is down to $56.99. So there you go. If you're interested in that 1 terabyte card, well, now you can get one. So giddy on up. Alright, moving on to some gaming news. Yep, we got some Fortnite news, and, well, with their latest patch, nerfs the drum gun and ballers after frequent complaints. Apparently, people are complaining about it so much that I actually went and watched it. The update today, I was watching Ninja, and Ninja said, the new update sucks, the guns are still broken. I don't think you're pleasing anybody. So anyways, the first patch of Fortnite Season 9 has arrived, and it's all about balancing out some of the things players find most frustrating. The first big balance is a nerf to the drum gun's damage. While the drum gun is an undeniably popular weapon in Fortnite, after all, it one unvaulting. For those of you who lived under a rock, it was also way too powerful. Among the gun's most vocal critics have been pro players who made their displeasure known as soon as the unvaulting event started. So, FaZe Cloak, he didn't like it. With this latest damage nerf, the drum gun should still be a solid option for close range fighting and destroying buildings. It won't be quite as overpowered as it was when it was first added back into the game. Another slight change to the game is coming to Ballers. The vehicle that has plagued the late game of arena matches over the last several months is getting another nerf to its health in hopes of keeping it from being the safest choice for every player in the game. And also, they're still trying to figure out how the heck do we get our ranked arena thing working properly. Well, if it's anything like League of Legends, it'll take you probably 5-6 seasons until you can actually finally start balancing stuff out. While balance changes seem to be the main focus of this patch, there's also a new gun being added, the Tactical Assault Rifle. This gun is designed as a short-range alternative to the assault rifles currently in the game. It's somewhere between a rifle and an SMG with high accuracy up close that falls off drastically as you start to shoot it further away. The Tactical Assault Rifle can be found in rare, epic, or legendary rarity and looted from all of the usual places. For a full look at all the changes coming to Fortnite with patch 9.01, you can check out the full notes below. So there you go. I just scrolled through all of it. I just kidding. We'll have a link to this in the show notes for today's episode so that you guys can go read up on your own. And if you have any questions or comments that you want to share, like, yeah, I love the new Tactical Assault Rifle, let us know down in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Moving on to our final article of the day, Pokemon Rumble Rush is an island-hopping, monster-capturing romp for iOS and Android. Now, with the release of the surprisingly fun movie Detective Pikachu, it remains to be seen. It seems to be given in the eye of the beholder whether they actually like the movie or not. I actually haven't gone to see it, mainly because I'm a bit worried that if I do go see it, then I'm going to have to go see Sonic, and if they whiff Detective Pikachu, they're going to whiff Sonic, and they already did, and then people complained, so then they changed Sonic, so now I'm wondering, maybe Detective Pikachu will be okay. Anyways, Pokemon is once again in the popular conscious, and license holder the Pokemon Company is trying to capitalize on that by releasing the free-to-play Pokemon Rumble Rush for mobile games. Pokemon is a huge global franchise that spans different mediums, games, anime, books, and over a dozen animated films, but the mobile games are usually simpler than the role-playing entries on Nintendo consoles. Rumble Rush is the latest in the Rumble spin-off franchise, one that originally started on the Wii. Other Pokemon mobile games include Pokemon Go, Pokemon Duel, Pokemon Quest, and Pokemon Magikarp Jump. In Rumble Rush, you explore different islands filled with the iconic creatures and battle them with your partner Pokemon by tapping on the screen. After each fight, enemy Pokemon have a chance of joining your team. Defeating the super boss on each island will also reward you with items that you can use to improve your Pokemon. Rumble Rush is available now on Google Play in Australia, with a worldwide release to follow for other Android and iOS users later this year. The next games in the mainline RPG series are Pokemon Sword and Shield, both of which are coming to Nintendo Switch in 2019. So, I went and I took a look at it. IGN has a 15-minute gameplay video out about it, and I think there's another one that has like an 8-minute review video on it. I haven't seen any trailers yet for it, so I can't exactly tell you if it looks good, but initially it seems okay. I mean, I watched the first 15 minutes of it, like if you first installed it and you opened up the game and you jumped in, you started, playing around. Seems very similar to how you start out in Pokemon Go. So who's to say this might not be a fun game for those still interested in playing Pokemon? It's a little bit of a different take. You can actually one tap headbutt enemies and wipe them out outright and get coins for them. So I don't know how it works. It's probably the tutorial stage, but I'm hoping that as it progresses, the zombies. Wow, why am I talking about zombies? The Pokemon that you battle in the wild, you actually do get the option to catch as per items. I don't know. You just always have a Pokeball on you and you can catch them. We'll find out. And it probably covers it in the first 15 minutes, but I only watched the first couple minutes. But there is no link to any of that stuff on the article. So if you want to see more information about Pokemon Rumble Rush, go type it into the search engine on YouTube. It should pull up some videos, a 15-minute playthrough, reviews on it. There isn't no trailer. Hopefully there will be sometime soon. If not, I'm not gonna complain. But a trailer would actually help, right, guys? Pokemon Go, you guys listening? Hey, trailer? Can we do a trailer? Thanks. And with that said, that wraps up this episode of the latest in tech news. Thanks for tuning in, guys. New episodes every weekday. The latest in tech news can be found on every major platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, Overcast, and more. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by clicking that like button down below if you haven't already, and by leaving a comment. Also, double check that you are subscribed so that you don't miss out on the latest tech news. I'm your host, Taylor Merrick, and remember, for the latest in tech, gadget, and gaming news, visit TechNewsGadget.net. Pretty much, keep being awesome, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.